time as well. We're getting everybody all tidied up. Hello, I'm Meteorologist Evan Thomas. First of all, I'm gonna give a round of applause and thank you over to CJ Cartledge for starting this episode off for the first 2-3 minutes, giving a nice intro. Diabetic intro to everything. Whew, man. Okay, I just ran over here from the last thing I had to do, which lasted, let's just say, 15 to 20 minutes later than it should have. Anyways, thank you for sticking around. First alert with the breakdown time. CJ introed everything. I'm just making sure everybody's good. We got the stream up. Making sure we got all the controls rocking and rolling. Did we send out yes, we sent out the notification. I think we're good. I think we're good on everything. Set up on everything. We're just making sure I got all my cards in order, And we're good and ready to go. Obviously, big day, first alert weather day here tomorrow in store. We have a Met Chat on for this episode. CJ went over all that. Anyways, just reminding myself also what to do here for the day today. Anyways, all right, let's get into the forecast here, shall we? Big important day here for tomorrow in store. I got to get my graphics set up and everything. So hopefully you guys have been having a good Wednesday. Overall, it's been I wouldn't say a rainy morning, but it's been a moist, muggy, foggy morning. Earlier, for those of you that were out and around the early morning hours, my goodness, it was incredibly foggy all around the Arklatex, and yeah, that remains something of concern here locally. Sorry, I'm finding one more control here. I found it. I found the control for CJ. Anyways, sorry. Note to myself. I feel like I'm talking out loud. All right, I need to settle myself down. Do you see? I literally sprinted over here into into this podcast. Let's go into the radar. All right, let's start with the forecast, shall we? All right. So, first alert Doppler radar. This is what it looks like right now. Overall, it's 2 rainy days here for today and tomorrow. And then the rest of your 7-day forecast is looking pretty lovely. Now, I'm working on getting that KSLA News 12 bug out of here so you can see my face. There we go. All right, so this is a current look at our first alert Doppler radar. Again, we got light rain sprinkled pretty much everywhere in isolated groups around the Arklatex. This is what's going to carry on throughout the entirety of today. So it's just nothing but hit and miss showers on throughout the day. If it's not raining in your current location, it's certainly muggy, cloudy, misty. It feels yucky and ugly overall all around the Arklatex here for you. So, yeah, not a good day to be out here for either today or especially tomorrow with our first alert weather day intact for Thursday all around the Arklatex. Again, for those of you, I know CJ already hinted to it, but we do have a Met Chat coming up with the LA wildfires. That's going to take a good chunk of time, so we're going to try to get through this pretty efficiently. If you have any questions, though, youtube.com is our platform to watch or to comment on while we're doing this live stream. Window World Sky Camera here in Texarkana. It is it's muggy all around, cloudy, no sunlight coming through. Definitely here throughout the Arklatex. And again, you'll find some pockets of rain here and now across the whole region here throughout the day. So here's the best rundown of how things are going to work with the rain. Today, it's rainy skies, isolated storms, here and there rain showers in throughout the rest of your Wednesday. And again, if it's not raining, it's going to be cloudy and just muggy overall. For tomorrow, that's our chance for severe weather. That's our chance for thunderstorms. That's our chance for flash flooding. That's our little chance for tornadoes, yes, coming into the Arklatex here throughout the day tomorrow. And then we have sunshine coming out just in time here for Friday, cap off the rest of the work week, and also rolling into your weekend as well here for your Saturday and Sunday nicely. Here's the setup. High pressure's off to our east, low pressure's off to our west. We have a cold front off into western Texas, central/western Texas here for now. That cold front, that actual line, contains the severe weather in and of itself. The chance of isolated tornadoes, the chance of those strong wind gusts pushing on through. But here's the thing. Look how much moisture is way in front of this cold front. It's immense. You see the cloud cover just billowing and really bursting out there all across eastern Texas, around Dallas, through most of Louisiana, including the Arklatex. Some of that obviously being going up towards Texarkana, into Arkansas and Oklahoma as well, too. So overall, just a very muggy atmosphere well in front of the cold front. And the muggy atmosphere is going to stay in place until our severe weather rolls on by, until that cold front actually pushes on through. So for later this afternoon, some of these showers could develop a little more and contain more heavier pockets of rainfall. If you saw on our radar, current radar, most of it's light to moderate rain showers here for now, but some of them could develop into, again, some pockets of heavy rainfall here for the rest of today, but nothing of which causes severe weather here for the most part. Then you head into tomorrow early morning. That's when we start to find those lines of severe storms, especially across southeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas, northeastern Texas. For tomorrow afternoon, that's when it goes across, just in time for Friday. We're going to clear things out nicely. But there's some things to go over, some specific details with the storms rolling on by, besides the timing. All right, this is our chance for severe weather. Overall, the entire Arklatex has their own respective chance of severe weather. Everybody. Everyone. Nobody's left out of that. But I will say, for those of you in the yellow shade, that means we do have a slightly greater chance of severe weather around there, which includes a little pocket of eastern Texas around Nacogdoches to Natchitoches. This is mainly in effect for most of northwest Louisiana. This is kind of on the outskirts of Shreveport. Mansfield, Jonesboro, Ruston, Natchitoches, those areas have a slightly greater chance for severe weather. And what I mean by severe weather is chance of tornadoes, chance of those strong gusty winds pushing on by. Just a slightly greater chance for those kind of features in that area. Now, here's the interesting thing. Watch our rainfall potential map, and you'll see that the bulk of the rain is happening on the other end of the spectrum, and the other end of the Arklatex, the north end, up by DeQueen, southeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Arkansas. This is where we're expecting the greatest rain totals, up to as much as 2 to 3 inches of rain within a span of the next 48 hours are most likely going to push into that area. So lots of intense rainfall. Excuse me. Besides that, the rest of us are getting up to or close to around an inch of rain at least. Texarkana could get around 2 inches of rain themselves. Some intense rainfall could be coming down overall in the Arklatex here for the next 48 hours. In fact, we do have a flood watch in effect for the northern edge of our region, in effect for, I believe it's Little River, Sevier, and Howard counties in southwestern Arkansas, and also in effect for McCurtain County in Oklahoma. That's in effect from tonight through tomorrow afternoon, just only for that area, for those areas that have the greatest rain totals and greatest rainfall accumulation expected here within the next 48 hours. One thing we haven't even talked about is temperatures. It's going to be nice and warm here this afternoon. Temperatures right back into the lower 60s. But watch the temperatures into tomorrow morning. Also in the lower 60s. The temperatures really don't cool down that much at all into tomorrow morning because of how moist and the intense cloud cover really keeping that heat at bay, stuck in the Arklatex. And by tomorrow afternoon, we could have, feels like temperatures as much as up to as much as 70 degrees here for tomorrow afternoon in a few spots before cold front swings on by that brings the severe weather, and it's actually going to cool us down a little good ways here for Friday morning before still having high temperatures overall in the mid-60s here by Friday and Saturday, and by Sunday, highs are back again into the 70s, and this weekend looks fantastic. Wow. Have you seen such a beautiful weekend anytime recently? I mean, we haven't seen 70s since last year, way into last year as well, so going to be impressive here for your weekend on both Saturday and Sunday. Again, Thursday is your first alert weather day. It's a high of 72 degrees, but we're all staying first alert, obviously, about the severe storms, the little chance of tornadoes, the flash flooding, the strong wind gusts, all that on the table here for tomorrow during the day. For today, it's a rainy day, but no chance of severe weather. Just watch out for those heavy pockets of rainfall that cause those wet roadways as well throughout the rest of your Wednesday. We're done on Friday, and it's an extended dry period of time, at least for the next 4 days. Friday through Monday, including the weekend, all completely dried out. Our next chance of wet weather looks to come in somewhere around Tuesday to Wednesday of next work week. Excuse me. Overall, we stay warm in for the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks, not just next week, next 2 weeks. We're still looking to have high temperatures in the lower 70s here for the most part into that 12-day forecast as well. All right, that was a look at your full local forecast. Again, if you have any questions, in fact, I'm going to hop over there real quick. If you have any questions, which I don't see anybody does on our YouTube page, let us know. You can still let us know and type actively in our YouTube page, even during our Met Chat as well, if you have any questions about that. Our Met Chat's going to last a good, lengthy little while. I will toss to the recording of the Met Chat, which we recorded yesterday, after this 2-minute commercial break, and then after that, I'll be back on for a quick recap and look forward to tomorrow's episode. But you enjoy the Met Chat. Me, CJ Cartledge, who was just here, is also on that. Austin Evans and Chief Meteorologist Matt Jones. All four of us packed into one good meteorology chat. Yeah. That recording will be up after this 2-minute break. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you after this. All right, welcome on to the First Alert Weather Breakdown Met Chat. I am meteorologist Evan Thomason, joined by Austin Evans, Matt Jones, CJ Cartledge as well. It's all four of us back here together again, 1 week after the historic winter storm that came on through. Of course, leaving a giant bubble right on top of the Arklatex. Yeah, I think we already went into that last week, but I don't know. I'm just reminiscing about what could have been, what could have been. We've missed 2 winter storms now, and I'm sad.
What thankfully wasn't.
That too. Look, I didn't want all the winter, the traffic, the snow plows. The lack of snow plows, I should say. Just dealing with all that mess. It's good. Anyways. For today's Met Chat topic, we're actually diving a little bit outside of the Arklatex here for today. We're actually covering something that we were going to cover last week until a giant winter storm showed up basically on our doorstep, but didn't come into our door.
Shut up down the street.
Yeah, just down the street.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk about this last week, and thankfully this problem has since kind of resolved itself a little bit, but it's obviously still we're still facing some big repercussions and some big lessons learned, and also recovering. And then what I'm talking about is the LA wildfires, Los Angeles wildfires, obviously devastating a huge lot of the suburban area of Los Angeles. I believe geographically this happened on the north side of town. I don't know specific towns up by there. I think one of them that comes to mind, I think, is Malibu. I don't know. There's several different fires. There were several different kind of suburban areas affected by this. Obviously, this was caused by huge winds. So what I want to do with this is kind of go into the science and weather of it all, how it happened to start off with, number one. Number two, what happened as a result, what's the damage, that kind of thing. And then number three, how are people recovering now, how has the weather gotten better to improve that situation? So number one, if y'all have any thoughts with how this has all started to begin with, obviously the perfect recipe for wildfires is dry conditions.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'll start. Yeah. So I think the issues actually began a couple years ago because we had a couple very, very wet winters in Southern California. If you remember, like the last 2 winters, they've had like record rainfalls and snowfalls and crazy amounts of moisture, right? And so that allowed all the grasses and everything to just grow crazy. Like there was so much growth during those wet years. And then this winter, the rain just shut off and it's been incredibly dry and they're in severe drought once again. So you have all this brush, all this, all these grasses, all this new growth that is now completely dried out. So that's a lot of fuel, so to speak, for new wildfires. And so you have that excess fuel. And then you combine that with the very, very dry winter season that they've had, and then the Santa Ana winds, which, if you know Southern California, they get those winds coming offshore. So you get the Santa Ana winds that downslope off the mountains there, and it dries out and heats up, and it's a bad situation.
And we're talking a region that, geographically speaking, has always had fires like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a new thing. I'm
Mm,
surprised it took this long for one to hit, the Pacific Palisades and Malibu and stuff like that. Though we could probably go back and probably find some news of less devastating wildfires that would have hit this area. But this is a region that, in all honesty, should never have been urbanized.
yeah.
It's another situation of not necessarily wildfire mitigation, but man's attempt to, um, put the thumb on nature, and the nature is like, get this thumb off me. I'm going to burn everything down. Because we learn about in school that wildfire mitigation is actually works against us in terms of forest fires and stuff like that. We clean up too much of the brush, and then the fires are three times worse going forward when they do happen. So um it's an this was a really unfortunate combination of, like you said, the wind, and that's another thing a lot of people don't see. Wind that is non-convective, not associated with any sort of storm, or any sort of weather at all. 90 mile
Mm,
per hour wind gusts on just a sunny day,
it's
which
crazy.
it sounds wild to me, which, because it is. So this is it's a dry area that has historically been dry, combined with it being heavily urbanized, and just a terrible mix of situations. But I wouldn't be surprised if, at some point in our lifetime it happened again, because it's not going to be getting any better. Not
Yeah.
not the climate situation's not getting
Hmm.
any better. I doubt they're going to be like, okay, maybe let's hold back on rebuilding things and maybe rebuild elsewhere. I doubt they're going to be doing that. Real bad combination of all the things that you wouldn't want to go into a fire, um, that led to this particular disaster. But as we but hopefully, as we continue, and we got some rain over there, good. Hopefully people can start at least putting the pieces back together, and getting restarted, whether or not they want to rebuild there or elsewhere.
Yeah, it's really tough to see, to witness, and especially for those people that lost their homes. I send my prayers to them, and these dry conditions that they're experiencing, mixed with the heavy winds that they have received from the Santa Ana mountains, I believe that was. Um, yeah, that's what's gonna cause those brush fires and cause the tragic effects that will happen to them. So my prayers and condolences go out to those people who lost all their homes, and hopefully they can get back to where they were before all of this happened.
Just to put this into kind of perspective as well, just some of the statistics that I've heard like thrown out. I think this is a more costly disaster than Hurricane Katrina, even money
Mm,
wise, not fatality wise, but money wise. which really puts it in perspective. Obviously, everybody around here can relate a little more to a typical story that's a little more local to here in the Arklatex, again, which is Hurricane Katrina. And I draw a similarity to that as well because it's interesting. Because you saw all the stories about rallying around New Orleans to rebuild it, especially what the east side of New Orleans has become after those flooded waters absolutely washed out those homes, and they were able to build bigger and stronger levees. But the thing is, they were able to rebound the community, get them more knit up together, and still kind of rebuild in those same spots. I think the LA, first of all, the response they've had has been great. They've done so many, I've heard of so many terrific stories of them revolving around the Los Angeles Fire Department themselves. And I guess, again, rallying around them and giving them all their support. But my concern of what Austin was kind of talking about was I'm not sure if you legitimately rebuild in this area again. Like, say, again, we did with, case in point, my example with New Orleans East, where most of that got flooded out, but they specifically were able to fix those levees and fix that problem. But I don't know. I don't know what you do from here, honestly. You have, I think the statistic is somewhere between I think it was, last time I checked, 15,000 to 17,000 buildings destroyed. 15 to 17,000. Just going to let that soak in. I mean, it's like it. I don't know how many buildings.
Many buildings in Shreveport?
That's what I was gonna say. Are there that many buildings in Shreveport? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember seeing some aerial shots, like satellite images from before and afters, and the fire went all the way across the Pacific Coast Highway, went all the way to the Pacific Coast. Like even those beach homes were wiped out with that fire. Went all the way to the ocean, which is insane.
And not. What, last year, Lahaina and
Lahaina, yeah, that reminds me. Yeah.
So it's and there's also the socioeconomic situation that a lot of rich people got affected by this.
Celebrities, things like that.
Celebrities, yes. Tech people. But on the flip side of that, LA is not just home to celebrities and rich people. There's a lot of working class folks that got impacted by this too. That a lot of people are not talking about, at least in terms of the mainstream discussion of this. So it hopefully those people also get helped, because they deserve it just as much. It's the worst situation that you could imagine. Very, very, very much like Katrina in the way that the city shouldn't be there, and then this happened. So it's I hope they can figure something out, and I hope going forward they take fires more seriously, because we also heard about the LA Fire Department's budget being cut. They were running out of firefighters. Drones were getting in the way of fire planes. I don't know what they're called, but planes that were helping to put out the fires. There were so many moving pieces that weren't moving in the right directions, and were going against each other. So unfortunate situation that I don't know how you bounce back, but I'm also not in charge of that, and I'm glad I'm not, because I look at everything and be like, I don't know where to start.
I just have two notes on that. I had an internship in college, number one, in emergency management. I was able to see that side of things, which I thought was really great. I love how emergency managements work, especially working towards these scenarios, especially. And they are certainly going to learn a lot from this one, because a lot of the playbook from Katrina also was not knowing how to correctly to respond to something so catastrophic. That really put a big lesson book into a lot of the emergency managers here. In fact, the internship I had was for an emergency manager who was in Southern Louisiana. He said they learned so much from that system about how to behave, and also how to work and function with all their resources that they have available to themselves. So I'm hoping this is just a big lesson, as you said, to Southern California. I hope they can move on. But overall, for those that live in the West, I've been in there. I spent 3 years of my life out there in Idaho. And even though I haven't been devastated by a wildfire, I've had wildfires nearby, and I can understand why, honestly, more scarcely populated the West is in general compared to the East, because you have to deal with wildfires still nearby, and the smoke, even if you're not near a wildfire, the smoke that goes into the atmosphere can travel states wide. And especially even if that's anywhere near to you, it makes the air quality so bad. So it's rough. So
And the rain, they're getting rain now. I think but that also comes with its own set of problems. I just feel like California is just one disaster after another, honestly. It's like you get the fires, so all the burn scars, and now we're getting rain, which is great, right? But now we're having mudslides in the areas that just got it. Now I'm hearing stories about people getting covered, their cars getting covered in mud. And so the rain's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because now we're getting mudslides. It's like they can't win.
That and the ash in the runoff
Yeah.
is not good, and not and to mention the rain will help this quite a bit, at least in the short term. But airborne ash is a problem for breathing, and on the flip side of that, wildfires and what it does to other states. I was in New York State when there was a major wildfire. I
Canada,
can't
right?
remember what state it was in, and I actually did a story about it. I talked to a meteorologist with one of the SUNY schools, but provides for some interesting sky conditions if you're not affected by the wildfire. And yes, the air quality takes a hit, but then you can, if there's a lot of smoke in the atmosphere, you can look up and look at the sun because it's so obscured and it's like orange. So that was always on the flip side of that, rather interesting and somewhat fascinating. And then you get the wild sunrises and sunsets, which are rather picturesque. So there's always two sides to a coin. It's horrible devastation, but also can provide for some nice pictures elsewhere in the country. Um, and I always like to look at that. And it was also hard to forecast. It messes with your temperatures pretty bad, depending on how thick the smoke was. It could mess with your temperatures if you're trying to forecast for it.
Yeah. Last point I want to make before we got to move on. I just wanted to reiterate what CJ was saying again. Our thoughts and concerns are for everybody around that area. Obviously, losing your home is a big asset of your life, and it's not just your home; it's everything that's inside of it as well. Your memories, your photos, your whole livelihood. I mean, I can't imagine that happening to me. So it's wild. It's wild, kind of having to restart from the beginning. As long as you have yourself, I guess that's what matters moving on forward. But still sucks. Still sucks regardless. So we have an Ask Latex question here for today. That's our trivia question that we ask our three contestants, Austin, CJ, and Matt. I am just the host, with, all the, not Alex Trebek, but I'm trying to get up there. Anyways, we're asking for today's question. First of all, CJ, you got the two questions right so far this year on this year's Met Chats. You're looking for time number 3. Matt's giving me an eye like he's ready to get to at least one on the board. Same as Austin and a caboose. His favorite word, caboose. Anyways.
Caboose?
Caboose. All right, here's our question here for today. One of the things we mentioned was how strong the winds were with the Santa Ana winds that really came on piling down into Southern California. Now, I actually did a good amount of research for this, and this was the number I could come up with. I did lots of research into how strong the winds were. I found, I believe, the strongest winds out of that entire system. My question to you overall is, what were the strongest winds recorded with these wildfires in the past 2 weeks?
We talking a wind gust or
Wind
sustained?
gust. Wind gust.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 120 miles per hour.
I'm going to say 100.
Austin.
110.
Correct answer is 102. Congratulations, Matt. So yeah, very very strong winds. I think that was recorded in when I was doing my research in San Diego County. Yeah, these wildfires even went down to some areas around San Diego as well. So,
Remember that bow echo that went through and killed the
Which one?
power?
which one?
Killed the power for all of Caddo and Bossier pretty much.
In
Back
June?
in June.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
June of
June one.
2023.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were the peak wind speeds there even 102
No,
miles
it was
an hour?
like 70. It was like 70 to 80 in that line.
And so for the folks playing at home, that was a very strong thunderstorm that moved through and messed everything up here and cut power for some people for like up to about 4 or 5 days.
Mhm.
The wind in California that fueled this wildfire, there were no storms associated with it. It was just there and happening.
Yeah.
And which that is, it is hard to comprehend that. And I like a windy day, but there is a limit to everything.
Hmm.
God, that's gross.
Yeah.
Especially coming
crazy.
off that mountains. It's a dry wind too. Like I know usually winds are associated again with storms and everything like that, but dust in your I just mentioned like flying dust in your I don't know. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yuck.
It's nasty with those Santa Ana winds, man. I have family down that area. They can get pretty bad.
Oh, do you not look forward to family visits sometimes just because of that?
No, they come to visit me most times.
Oh, is it for that reason though?
No,
they want to
no, I
go
just
to Colorado or something.
Yeah,
They wanna go
Colorado.
visit. They want to go visit the mountains.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right, thanks for talking to us again today. Thanks everybody for coming on this week's Met Chat. You have a great rest of your day, and yeah, we'll talk to y'all guys later. Peace out.
Welcome on back to First Alert Weather Breakdown. Thanks for watching again today's Met Chat with all four of the KSLA News 12 First Alert meteorologists. Obviously devastating for what's going on in LA. Thankfully, again, things have suppressed, but now starts really the cleanup effort, which is, I mean, we referenced Hurricane Katrina, and I know many people, including myself, knew how long it really took to recover from that storm. Imagine recovering from this. We'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting, evolving story, honestly, for years, plural, to come. Not just weeks, not just months. It's the overall point. Anyways, thanks for watching today's coverage of First Alert Weather Breakdown. Hopefully you enjoyed the Met Chat. I know our First Alert Weather Day here is tomorrow. I am well aware of that. In fact, for tomorrow's First Alert Weather Breakdown on our podcast, we are not going to have any exclusive content. We're not going to have an interview here. We're not going to have a Met Chat. We're not going to have any other exclusive content to talk about. We are just going to be going into the forecast itself for the First Alert Weather Day during the First Alert Weather Day tomorrow. So we're going to be going all into that. We're going to be probably streaming on Facebook as well, answering questions as well. So if you prepped up or if you want to be prepped up with some questions, again, we'll just be going to the forecast for pretty much all the 30 minutes between 10:30 and 11, maybe even beyond that. We'll see. It just depends. But basically, my point is we're just going to be talking all about the First Alert Weather Day with the severe storms coming on for tomorrow. Thanks for watching again today's episode. We'll be back on tomorrow at 10:30. You want to make sure you're weather aware here for tomorrow with our First Alert Weather Day here for Thursday on tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow, Thursday, at 10:30 with all the coverage you need to know on the severe storms. Be there, be square, and most importantly, be weather aware. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.